fantastic, isn't it?
I have been waiting. Will you join me?
Hello, welcome to Star Wars. My name is Phill, of course. I'm joined, as usual, by Matt and Robin for our weekly Mandalorian breakdown. And for once, this is going to be a good... I say for once, this is going to be a cracker. Good evening, gentlemen.
For once.
Well,
for once, we've been loving season 2.
For once, what I mean is, for once, instead of us kind of going, yeah, this is good for a filler, this is holy crap from start to end.
There's no filler in this.
No.
Get out of here, Mando.
Yeah, go away, Mando. We got a new Mando.
We got a new Mando. Mandebs.
We do indeed. To be fair, so I should say before we get into the show, of course, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the episode, although to be fair, if you've seen our thumbnail, guys, spoiler alert.
I mean,
anyway.
yeah. Also spoilers for the animated shows, let's say that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, then there's spoilers ahead for both of those, which we shall...
Sorry, Matt.
If you've not seen Clone Wars or Rebels, stick with me. I haven't either.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, just listen to Matt's bits.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a good point of when we are introduced to a certain character, which we'll get onto in just a minute, and Matt having to pause the show to go and check why Robert and I were freaking out so much.
It's like, what's so special about... Oh, that's why.
Oz, Wikipedia. I'm back. And I tell you, I can see why you just lost your minds at the Mon Calamari at the spaceport. What an in-depth, integral character to the whole franchise.
No, you're forgetting the Quarren in the background wearing a hat.
Ah, yes, him too. He was great.
Indeed.
Right, well,
to be fair, though, I lost my mind a little bit purely before we get into the entire show, because of course it opens up with Frog Lady. I did not realise until after I double-checked. Frog Lady is voiced by D. Bradley Baker. So the voice of the clones is also the voice of Frog Lady.
I didn't know that either. I checked, like, wait, D. Bradley Baker was the voice of Frog Lady?
Yep. She doesn't say a lot, let's be honest.
Yeah, but still.
And the thing she does say is Richard Iardi.
True, but the actual voice is provided by D. Bradley Baker, of course, does all the clones.
They're going deep on this season.
Oh, they are. To be fair, this is... Yeah, I mean, to be fair, so this episode 3, of course, chapter 11, it is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who, of course, did episode 3 of last season.
No, it's 4 last season.
Was it not? I thought it was episode 3. The
ATST was 4.
Fair enough.
Because episode 3 was when they leave Navarro.
Yes, would make about sense. And to be fair, I actually watched that episode at yours, Matt, because it was around the time of your birthday.
No, didn't we watch the ATST one together?
Yes, yeah. That was also directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who directed this episode.
Good, that was strong. And I'm seeing like a real continuity between the themes of the episodes between season 1 and season 2 now. It's a very, very similar kind of... It's like it's repeating the same formula, but this time it's just got a bit more spice on it. Do you know what I mean? It's
actually got more story to it as well.
Well, not literal spice, because we don't want drugs here.
Oh, no, I'd love it. I'd love it. What are you on about? You give me Han and Lando just randomly turn up.
Well, no,
You're like, oh, we're doing this now, guys. Later, and just fly off. Right.
Well,
like in the Lego movie.
Poe was a spice runner, so we could meet Poe. I mean, timelines probably add up.
No, because he's still a bit too young to be a spice runner.
We don't know what age he started.
Well, I mean, he'd have to start when he was about 10.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because he was about 4 during Return of the Jedi, so he's about 9 years old now.
He grew up on the rough meat streets.
He's going to be a spice runner at the age of 9.
You'd be surprised.
Well, it happened after his mum died. I'm pretty sure his mum died after he was 9. I think. I don't know.
Hey, at this point, they could retcon anything. They could just be like, his mum taught him to be a spice runner.
She was part of... Yeah, anyway.
I'm just going to sit back and relax and watch this. Like, who needs to talk about the episode?
Back to Mandalorian fighting chapter 11.
Indeed. So, of course, finally in this episode, they get to Trask. The whole point is going there is to find other Mandalorians. Found a fake Mandalorian last week in terms of Cobb Vanth. And a...
Week before.
Yes, you found Cobb Vanth. Last week, of course, we had... our lovely, our Crippler. Again, that was paying homage to Ralph McQuarrie's artwork, and of course, the Crippler we used in Star Wars Rebels. This episode is a lot more of here's Clone Wars and Rebels in a way that you probably weren't expecting. So of course,
The
Mando does
Mandalorian,
roar.
probably not the one you're expecting.
Indeed.
Oh, look at it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Matt, I'm gonna let you talk about the fast becoming character of the Razor Crest just at the end, because of course in the last episode he got wrecked by a giant Krykna, just about managed to get off, managed to get to Trask, and failed to land.
I mean, very, very much. I think I said it last week, and we definitely said it in the pre-show. Is that Razor Crest, much like the Falcon, is starting to become a character in itself now. So we see this bit: Mando is expertly piloting; it's hovering it above the dock, and then just as the guy's like, "You're clear to land," the engine blows and throws it off. And it's very almost reminiscent of Empire, where Han goes to jam it into light speed. He goes to make the jump, and then the Falcon just goes, "Yeah, nah."
Yeah,
and it just fails. I think the Razor Crest really, I think it's something Star Wars has always done very intelligently. It's making this inanimate object that's in every episode, a character in itself now, and the way it's reacting to things, and more so just to jump to, because it's pointless talking about it at the end, we're not talking about it now, but at the end of the episode, once it's been patched up by the Mon Calamari, it's certainly starting to really take on this identity. I think Robin said in the pre-show, you're up there, that it's also very akin to Serenity from Firefly, and you're right. I just think it's really cool that Razor Crest is starting to tell a story. So we see it in Solo as well with the Kessel Run. That's what made the Falcon as we know it. And we're seeing it again in Mandalorian, where the Razor Crest is going through its own kind of struggles and some trials, and it's now starting to look very different from it did in season 1, but in a old guitar beaten up by years of touring kind of way. It's telling a story that we're seeing. So I think it's super cool that the Razor Crest really seems to be taking on a personality now, which I think is ace. I think it's really cool.
Literally being held together with string.
Yeah, and nets.
Yeah, and nets. Yeah, I mean,
wicked.
I mean, to be fair, my favorite TV show is Red Dwarf, and again, this is a very similar aesthetic. It's the rundown, beaten up side of the universe.
Sorry, why is your favorite TV show The Mandalorian? This isn't a Red Dwarf podcast, Phil.
I'm allowed to like.
And from now on,
the
the show's just gonna be me and Matt.
Good luck. You two would never get anything done.
It's very much,
this is the last show.
In Red Dwarf, it's all very much the AI, isn't it? It's all Holly.
Yeah,
is what gives the personality, and I think we've seen it with the Falcon. We didn't really see it so much in the sequel trilogy, but we've definitely seen it in Mandalorian now. Is that the ship, the main character's mode of transport, is without an AI on board, without a voice. Okay, admittedly, the Falcon had L3 added later on, but talking about original trilogy Falcon, the ship's becoming super iconic, and I really like it. Like, I think it's a really intelligent thing that they're doing with it, and it's telling a story.
Yeah, of course, with Han having to basically be the Fonz every time he needs to jump to light speed, with the Falcon just not working, I had to give it a good old jab. And with, the Razor Crest now being, as it held together by bits of twine and fishnets. Of course, we'll jump at the end of the episode, but it is quite hilarious when he does rock up at the beginning. It gets pulled out of the ocean by half an AT-AT and half a crane, puts back on the dock, looks like goes, can you just fix up? He gave him a bunch of money. It's like, I'll fuel it up. If it still holds fuel. And the end, it's like, gave you 1,000 credits, and this is the best you could do.
I think that's great. I think it's super cool. And the other part, because I know it's like super easy to glaze over with everything that's happened in the episode and the way both of you two are going to be freaking out about it. I thought the reuniting of Frog Lady and her husband was really hard. Like, it was heartwarming. It was really adorable. It was just so that big embrace between them, and I didn't really care about her before, but even I sat there just like, this is super cute.
Yeah, when she's just looking for him, and you just hear that other frog voice, and you go,
yeah,
and then just running towards each other like in a rom-com.
Yeah,
and I thought it was rom-com when the two lovers finally get together.
It's a really nice way to kind of round off the last episode. I just thought it was like a really sweet moment. Which obviously got overshadowed by everything else in this episode because it's huge, but I just wanted to say that moment.
They also used as convenient babysitters. And what was kind of interesting, of course, is the fact that they now have their eggs have now been fertilized. Of course, you have little one that does hatch. I mean, we didn't talk about this. We talked about the Baby Yoda eating the eggs last week, and it turns out in the last week there's been a lot of kind of controversy online about
like controversy and weird fan theories as well. Like I might be like storing them in, like he wasn't eating them, he was storing them in case anything happened to the
Yeah,
others,
of course.
and the line
Yeah, of
could
course.
continue.
I mean,
like, no, he's clearly.
Yes, there are some. Yeah, there's some fan theories of people who kind of don't want to accept the truth of yes, he's just eating them because, well, he's a child who's hungry. And anyone who's ever been around kids will know they will put anything in their mouth. That's just what kids do. It's how they learn about the world around them.
We eat eggs, man. I said this last week before all this kicked off. I was like, we eat eggs. How often do we eat eggs? Yeah, moot point. Like,
exactly.
But the little tadpole thing that the child was playing with, I thought was really, really cute as well.
Yeah.
I thought anything. He was like playing with it and making friends with it, and I just think
I did like that when he dropped him off. He went, right, behave, mind your manners. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But for such a massive episode, everything with the child and the two frog people was actually really wholesome through the whole episode. Actually, which I know there's massive things we're going to get into, which is fine. But I just want to take a quick moment to be like, there was a really wholesome kind of subplot in this episode.
I think it's important to talk about the
life cycle, really.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about the wholesomeness and the little sub-story beats before we get into the big meat of the episode, because or else we will lose them. And these are moments to talk about. I mean, I do like. I don't think I have. Because here's the child playing with his friend at the end. Although I did love it as he walked out. He goes, "No, I've got enough pets."
Yeah. But he didn't seem to want to leave. And I think what's really important about this is Mando seems to understand the child, and it's the first time we've really seen the child outside of Cara Dune and Mando be around like parents. And the child was actually acting like a child with a baby brother, and there was this subplot was like really like family orientated in this episode.
Actually, we have seen it slightly before. Again, going back to episode 4, that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, where the child was with all those kids.
Yeah, and it's a similar beat. Exactly, Robin, you're right. It's a similar beat, but I just think, very wholesome subplot, and Mando seems to be able to understand the child.
Yeah,
which is really, really interesting.
Some things, it genuinely sounds like the child is speaking Huttese. It might just be like the cooing noises make sound a bit Huttese, but maybe like off screen, Mando's been teaching him Huttese.
But again, there's a very parental bond. Anyone who's been around kids or has nieces or nephews or know that parents, although they don't know exactly what the child is saying, they kind of have an inkling of what they are trying to say, what they're trying to communicate through just by being around them so much. You understand the little kind of mannerisms they pick up on, which again we'll leave the soft story bits and go into the episode.
The subplot's not as big, but it's
really important to talk about
because the child is subliminally talking to him through the Force.
Yeah, potentially, but it's very humanizing. And I do love it again. So Mando then gets his Mando go, look, I'm here to meet other Mandalorians. Just told you could point me in a direction, because he points them towards an inn. Just to go and sit down. Of course, you do have the wonderful moment of the art image here, but
got the face hugger moment.
We did. We didn't have it last week.
When that happened, I immediately thought Matt's got his face hugger moment.
Yep, same.
I saw that and I was like, this has to be connected to last week. Like, that's not just coincidence.
I didn't just Mando just going, don't play with your food.
Again, he doesn't even really stab it. He just like taps the thing. And
however, we're kind of jumping over. Yeah, we're kind of jumping over the fact that he pays. So he says, "Look, what do you want?" This Mon Calamari barman. He goes, "Well, nothing for me, but my friend will have some chowder." And he goes, "Well, everyone here eats because there's these seats are scarce." He passed over the
Mon Calamari flan.
Yeah, from the first season. So it's kind of nice to see that little bit brought into it. Because I pay for information. He goes, "Look, I'm looking. We've seen others of my kind." So all right, I kind of know someone. Which is it's a trap moment of.
Well, like I said earlier, that barman, he looked and sounded a bit to me like Akbar.
Yeah.
I really thought for a moment Akbar had retired and was running a bar on Trask.
Yeah. I think we were saying it's like space hello.
Yeah, this is now Star Allure. That's how this is working. We are done with Star Wars. This is now an Hello podcast.
Which ironically as well ties into the chowder thing. Just reminded me of The Simpsons. I can't hear chowder without that bit in The Simpsons with the French waiter.
Chowder, yes.
Chowder.
Okay, if next week we get any Twi'leks in the show, it definitely is becoming a low.
Oh yes, that'd be so good.
As I said though, you will have Princess Leia coming through the back door going, listen very carefully, I should say this only once.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
3PO is Leclerc. It's like, it is I, 3PO. We don't recognize because of the red arm. I'm totally down with Hello Hello Again, one of my favorite shows. So do love comedies that talk about Red Dwarf and things earlier. However, we do have our It's a Trap moment by the monk. I go, I know a guy who might be able to help you out. Introduce him to a Quarren. Now, Quarren, if don't really know a huge amount of the law, the Quarren are a little bit shady anyway.
Yeah, but also like I was immediately sus of him when he was speaking and just the little chuckle. I was like, yeah, he's definitely, there's something up with this dude.
You just knew it wasn't going to go smoothly anyway. Otherwise, what a rubbish episode it would have been.
Yeah.
And you peacefully sail at the end.
Yeah, there's a couple of hours sail.
It could have just been like him getting from A to B and then stuff going down when he got there.
It's always like Beskar.
Yeah. Everyone's obsessed with Beskar. It's all shiny, and everybody.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of episode 1 of season 1 and episode 1 of this season as well. But
yeah,
why doesn't he cover it up? Everyone wants his armor.
Martial pride, isn't it?
Yeah,
true.
As we find out later in the episode, it's about martial pride.
Yeah,
is that right? That is right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, the armor gets handed down through the generations. They get reforged by the different wearers. I mean, Sabine from Rebels, again, her armor's reforged herself. They forge it with their family. The armorer.
I'll tell you what. Should we fast forward a little bit so we can get to the moment where what you're saying is super relevant, Phil?
Yes, let's get to that. Let's get finally
actually on the ship. The Quarren is just like, now I'm just going to feed your child. I'm going to feed you both to this. I forgot what it's called now. Let me check.
The sea sarlacc.
Yeah. Or it kind of looks a bit Rathtori as well. The Mammacore. Which I actually had to turn the subtitles on because I genuinely thought they said Mama Quarren.
Same, but again, I did the same.
Yes, it's the Mammacore. Yeah, it's just like, just the child might be interested in this.
We've had a sarlacc, which is a land. We had a land kraken. Now we actually have a proper kraken.
Yeah. Knocks the child in. And he's like, "What?" Traps him in.
What a bad person.
Interesting thing though, all of the other Quarrens on that boat are called Quarren's brother. It's Quarren's brother 1, 2, and 3. I noticed that when I put the subtitles on. It's like, why are they all Quarren's brother 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that the subtitles either tell you really interesting things or they completely spoil things. Because before said character introduced herself,
well, considering we're about to get there, we might as well just say it now.
Okay, before Bo-Katan turned up, the subtitles were saying Bo-Katan.
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean,
so obviously that happens, and then all of a sudden a Mandalorian comes down, starts kicking butt, and as soon as I saw it there. As soon as I saw that one in the helmet, I was just like, "It's Bo-Katan!"
Yeah, as soon as I saw the helmet,
that's Katie Sackhoff. That's Bo-Katan.
Yeah, that helmet is for anyone who's seen the Clone Wars Rebels. That helmet is instantly recognizable. Of course, Lady Bo-Katan, she is of course sister of Duchess Satine from the Clone Wars, leader of the Night Owls, and voiced in the Clone Wars by Katie Sackhoff.
Is there a reason that armor's the same color palette as Jango Fett's?
I mean, it's slightly darker, but
yeah, Jango's is
silver though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Death Watch also wear a similar color of the blue and blue and white. With their symbol, of course, yeah, I mean, the Death Watch symbol is red rather than the kind of off-white, kind of creamy color you get for the Night Owls or for any of the other houses. But it's kind of interesting, as I said. So, see Bo-Katan finally rock up in a very similar kind of angle from when Mando was rescued. You have that looking over, and Robin, you pulled this particular image up and sent it over to me. But it is that very reminiscent of when he was saved by Death Watch, and now he's been saved by Bo-Katan.
I think this is going to be the start of a new kind of philosophical arc for Mando, because we've seen him being recognized by what turns out to be like zealous extremists, and now he's being saved by Bo-Katan, who takes her helmet off.
Yeah. He's mid-sentence thanking her, and she just takes her helmet off, and he's like,
"Where did you get that armor?
It's been in my family for generations."
Yeah.
And then it's just like when Axe What's his name again?
Axe Wolves.
That's the one. Yeah, and he just turns to Bo and goes, "Oh, he's one of those." And then we find out the whole reason between the apparent discrepancy of these Mandalorian Mando not taking his helmet off, and literally every other Mandalorian we've seen taking their helmets off, because he was raised by a cult of zealots
called Children of
the Watch. Children of the Watch.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably an offshoot of the Death Watch.
Well, yeah, that's
it's Death Watch soldiers who found him.
Yeah. So they are the kind of descendants, as it were, of the Death Watch. Yeah, Children of the Watch are those who they found indoctrinated into their way of belief, which is the way of the Mandalore, the way of the pure warrior. Which, to be fair, Bo-Katan was kind of like that in the beginning. Anyway, she
was part of Death Watch.
Exactly, she didn't like her sister's way of life. She didn't think the peaceful way was worth it. So no, we are Mandalorians, we are warriors. We should adhere by this creed. And of course, throughout her journey as a character, she then realized that you need to have a balance between the two. Duchess Satine wasn't exactly right, but neither was Death Watch. She can't have one. You need to kind of have her balance between the two, which is why when she ended up getting the Darksaber herself in the end of Rebels, you kind of have this, what at the time we thought was a full circular journey between the way of the Mandalore and also the way of peace, which her sister had. It's a very cool little arc, and we thought that with Mandalorian, you could meet others. Would you ever see Bo-Katan? Maybe not. We heard the rumors flying around before season 2 was launched that Katie Sackhoff has replied to a role, and we thought, probably won't happen.
I thought it was going to be a flashback.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a flashback to the Purge.
But no. So when
how old is she meant to be at this point? Because from what I've seen, she's aged really well.
Well, we don't actually know how old she is.
Because she seems like an adult from what I've seen in Clone Wars.
Well, I think
like
she's like in her 20s-ish at the youngest. So in Mandalorian, she's about 40 to 50, I think. So I know Katie Sackhoff's in her 40s. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never actually mentioned how old she is.
She was
I
cool.
actually went on Wikipedia to find out how old she was.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know how old she is.
No.
It was cool. And I liked how Mando was just like, thanks, I just flew off. Because his world
he's just like, there is only one way, it just goes on.
Yeah. Indeed. And before
we
should talk about the one part we saw in all the trailers where people trying to point out if Sasha Banks or Mercedes Bernardo.
The orange lady.
If people thinking she was Ahsoka Tano because she could be playing Sabine or anything like that. No, she turns out she's playing a completely different character. Yeah, Koska Reeves. Which my phone automatically corrects to Koshka at the moment because of how much I've been flying Boba Koshka and X-Wing. Another Mando, different name. But yes, so she's playing a character called Koska Reeves. You do have, of course, Axe Woves as well, Woves, with Bo-Katan. So that's, of course, not who she is. She's not playing Ahsoka Tano.
Or Sabine.
But we are definitely coming back to that bit later on. So yes, Mando says, thank you, basically buggers off. He doesn't understand their way of thinking. He just goes, look, I've got to return this foundling to the Jedi. I'm out of here. You're not, in his eyes, like, you're not Mandalorians. You take your helmets off. This is not the way.
Everything he knows is shook now.
Yes.
Which is huge.
Yeah. I mean, he buggers off, but he's stood there watching as they do blow up this
that is such a cool shot, though. You see it blow up and them just flying up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff in this episode, actually.
Yeah, of course, Mando's trying to go back and he's going to try and go to bar, have something to drink while he's waiting for his to be fixed up. He gets surrounded by a bunch of Quarren who turns out that one of them, at least, is this Quarren's brother.
It's actually his brother.
I heard out there's about 3 of them on there.
Yeah. He's like, and of course, Mando is a little bit of shtick, but you have Bo-Katan and the others rock up and go, nope, he didn't kill your brother, I did. And you have kind of this the very first inkling of Mando being the lone gunslinger versus the Mandalorian kind of way of life. They make him look like a bumbling buffoon in this entire episode. The way they fight, the way they've taken the literally their Clone Wars style. So the animated show how Mandalorians work together, their actual teamwork, what they're as a unit versus the lone gunslinger, and they make him look like we know Mando is not incompetent. He is very good at what he does. they make him like a complete bumbling buffoon in this episode.
Yeah,
well,
did you
there's
see
a
that
great.
when they're first introduced, when Costco fires, she trips up the dudes, and then Axe just shoots them both.
Yeah.
Well, there's a really cool. There's that line a little bit later on in the episode, which is how many life forms you read. 10. What?
15.
It's like how many?
already-
It's like,
Yeah.
there's only 4 life forms.
There's 4.
Like, they're Mandalorians.
The Mandalorian and the 2 pilots are like, oh.
Yeah, and then everyone
dear.
just their bowels get loosened.
Yeah, which is obviously, but just to harken back to what you're saying, I don't want to jump too ahead. That is kind of acknowledged later in the episode as well, which I think was really, really cool because they really do come across as like a crack commando unit.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, "Can we at least buy you a drink?"
Yeah. To which, of course, you do get all of them sat around the table, all helmets off except Mando, of course, who's just they go, nope, this is the way. Helmet is staying on. But he opens up.
I'm wondering if he will start taking his helmet off later on.
If Pedro Pascal especially gets his way,
yeah,
he will. I
because after those reports and then this in the episode where they're like, "Oh no, you're an extremist," feels like there's going to be a turn in character arc where we're going to start seeing more of Pedro Pascal's face. It doesn't feel like more than a coincidence.
No, although I have to admit, if you didn't know those rumors, I think it would feel very natural progression for the character anyway to go and find the rest of his kind of his crew. You also find out what I love in that particular bit where you do have them all sat around having a drink. He's because talking about Mandalore. I wanted to go back and retake Mandalore. Something was taken from me, which we'll get on to later. Well, no, you don't want to go back to Mandalore. Mandalore is
cursed.
That's cursed. The Empire wiped out and made it. Yeah, everyone knows you don't go back to Mandalore. The Empire has wrecked it. Bo-Katan goes, no, don't believe everything you've read. And it's the interesting look of indoctrination versus the kind of the wider media, shall we say, when it comes to the wider way of thinking. It is very much you have been brought up by a set of people. You have been given a very narrow view of the world and of our kind, but don't believe everything.
I think, from my perspective, having not seen all of Clone Wars, for more of a casual kind of observer angle on that, it's very reminiscent of, I think, Din Djarin's viewpoint on it. Almost, it feels like the same as mine, because if he's like, you can't go to Mandalore, everyone dies. That's why Mandalore wasn't heavily featured in the original trilogy. So now Bo-Katan turning up and being like, don't believe all you've heard, feels like a bit of a really clever way to be like, no, it didn't crop up in the original trilogy because people like you believe that it's cursed. Yeah. And so without knowing all of the backstory to it, I'm just kind of like, I think that's a really, really cool way of just kind of saying, I feel like Din Djarin in that moment of going, no, it is inactive. It just is cursed. And then having this relatively new character to me going, don't believe all you've heard, just feels like a really smart way of going, this is why it wasn't featured in these films.
So we'd heard about the Purge of Mandalore from season 1. You've also, again, through Rebels, if you haven't seen Rebels, you know more about the Empire using Mandalorians against Mandalorians. A very dark twist where you actually find out meeting Bo-Katan through Sabine. Sabine, who created a weapon to destroy anyone who's wearing Mandalorian armor. It honed. She created something to hone in on a specific frequency that would destroy everything but what someone was wearing. The Empire switched it around because the whole point was to use it so it didn't destroy Mandalorian armor, but destroyed everything else. The Empire went, cool, reverse engineer it slightly. Now it just destroys Mandalorians. It creates a death hum that if you ever hear the sound, a Mandalorian will just brick it because they know what's happening next. If you haven't seen Rebels, watch season 3, season 4. You'll find out more about this, and it is an extremely dark arc for what starts off as a kind of a kid show. It gets it gets right into it.
Yeah.
And that was to do with the Purge of Mandalore. In Clone Wars, we'd always heard about the Siege of Mandalore, but we never got to see it until they brought back Clone Wars for season 7.
It just feels like a very smart way, I think, without knowing everything you know. just to kind of explain the absence.
That was my point. It's we Rob and I know this especially because it's kind of what we do, especially myself when it comes to I brought on Matt and Robin when Star Wars ended. Once the first end of Star Wars began, because both of these are very good friends of mine. Rob, I know, is a super fan like I am, but Matt, I know, although he loves Star Wars to a point, is also a casual fan. You don't do the same level as we do, and I like having that little dichotomy, the different points of view from different angles, and I love setting up as much as possible, going into the lore and all that kind of stuff. So when it came down to this, I was actually very interested to see what you're going to say, Matt, purely because, again, if you haven't watched Rebels or Clone Wars, you don't need to watch it to know what's coming next, because they explain it in a very subtle way that is not a ram it down your throat. I'm just trying to jam pack a reference in here. It was a case of conversation of, I know Mandalorian's cursed. No. Don't believe everything you've read or heard. It's that level of, here's a subtle story hint, without it ramming down, that has wide implications for those who haven't seen the wider universe.
It's a great way to continue the story of the Mandalorian, while also giving a nod to the fans who know about it.
Yeah, it was very smart.
Not necessarily who haven't seen it. It's like, here's this character that's a Mandalorian with this history. Here's how it's going to happen in our show. If you want to know more, you can.
You want to know more,
but very similar to season 1, where you had the flashbacks of how he was rescued by the Death Watch. You need to watch the Clone Wars to know that you have battle droids versus the Republic and everyone else. Because if you've seen the prequel trilogy, you know that already. So you don't need extras put on top of that. So it's kind of cool. From there on, he goes, "Look, I need to return this child to the Jedi." Bo-Katan goes, "Well, what do you know of the Jedi?" He goes, "I know nothing. I just know that it is this creature's people. I need to return him. Do you know, can you help me with that?" Which would then get into the meat of our story. She goes, "Well, yeah, I can, but you got to do something for me."
I'm really surprised he doesn't know anything about the Jedi. I'm really surprised.
I'm not, and I'll tell you for why. For those for people who have not,
and I'll tell you for why.
Well, people who don't like history, who don't study history, who don't know about the Nazis and the Holocaust and things like that. If you just walk around the world, unless you look for it, you don't know it ever happened.
No, but at this point, I'd argue that the Jedi are myths, and you may not know everything about, as you're saying, World War II and all that, but you all know about the Loch Ness Monster. And then you get, but obviously in the New Hope, where Obi-Wan's just like the Force, and Han's just like, ancient religion or Hokie religions and ancient weapons and no match for Blosser, is that kind of, I know the ghost stories. So for someone as worldly as Din Djarin, I'm really shocked he doesn't even know like the myths. Or I don't know, I think. It was just quite jarring.
At the same point they came to when she talked about Luke, so I just thought he was a myth.
Oh, but she knew of the myth.
Yeah.
For someone as travelled as Din Djarin is, as Mandalorian is, I found it a little bit shocking that you even got Rey, who grew up on a backworld planet, who was just like, Luke's a myth. And
to be fair though, with her, now knowing her backstory, it kind of makes sense she knows about him. But she also grew up on a planet that had a massive battle happen over it. That was like the end of the rebellion. So people would have spoken about that for like decades.
She literally,
and obviously they would have mentioned during that.
But the Death Watch, the Mandalorians being primal, surely the Death Watch know of Jedi. They fought Jedi or fought with Jedi, or they know Jedi. So,
but again, this isn't technically Death Watch. This is the Children of the Watch, which is I think an offshoot of Death Watch. Because obviously Mandalorians hate Jedi. You're right.
It just, for me, that feels for someone that worldly and traveled, who can speak Huttese, who can talk to Tusken Raiders, who has been all over the galaxy, to know nothing about even ghost stories and myths. If the line was, "What do you know of the Jedi?" and he's like, "I've heard rumors," it would have sat more comfortably as, again, as Robin just said, I know the Death Watch fought the Jedi, they hate the Jedi. He would know. So that felt a bit, even if the line was, "I know the children's stories," I would have been super content with it. But it just felt they've spent 11 episodes establishing this guy who's worldly and traveled and has been about the galaxy and is a bounty hunter who's worked with arguably the Empire. He's seen the child use the Force.
I think it might be because obviously he was a child during the Clone Wars, so he was still very young when the Empire took over, and obviously the Empire just wanted the Jedi to be gone. Yeah. So during the Empire's reign, nobody really knew about the Jedi. So I think it's because they were just like trying to just suppress the Jedi, and because probably what happened with the Purge, that probably kind of
don't forget, again, this is the thing when it comes down to the comics and things. You do literally have the Empire going around, the Emperor especially going around hunting down any links to any of the Jedi, destroying the temples, making sure the Jedi could never come back and threaten his rule.
Yeah, the Empire actively suppressed everything about the Jedi.
I don't know.
Kid during the basically he was a kid as the Jedi pretty much went extinct, and then everyone was like trying to suppress the knowledge of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's probably a lore explanation, but I just think on a watch, like, surely the Tuscans would have been like, and then this one time some dude rocked up at one of my ancestors' camps and they murdered everyone.
Well,
and the women and the children
around the campfire.
Yeah.
You know, I'd sure they'd be like, well, he had a laser sword and...
Yeah.
Oh, what?
He didn't actually, as far as we know, he didn't use the Force, though.
Oh, it's that lightsaber.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And then if he knows that the dark saber, he's gonna know what I like. Anyway,
but that's the thing.
That he doesn't know what the dark saber is. That is a very
because obviously the only people we know who have seen Moff Gideon with the dark saber is some Jawas.
Yeah, that's true. The Jawas. I sold this droid to some guy. Anyway. It's a rabbit hole. For me, it just felt a bit off.
I mean, it would possibly get extended in the future episode.
I do think, like with the helmet thing, though, you will find out more as we go along.
Yeah,
I think
I'd like it just to click and just be like, I thought you were Ghost Stories.
Yeah,
just someone like that, and we'll be happy.
However, we have limited time. We are getting away from the plot here. In a very good and very philosophical discussion. I'm not trying to shut this down, but we'll move on for time's sake. However,
Sky Heist.
Yes, as I said, you do have, of course, them introducing. That's unfortunately a bit we've got. The Gazanti class cruisers. Like, look, on there are weapons we need. If you want the information about the Jedi, then cool, that's fine. You're gonna help us break into this and help us steal some weapons. That's the original plan anyway. Then you have the convenient babysitters, which are the frog people, because can I leave this with you? What's your manners? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Done, set up.
Rabbit.
And then goes and helps them take it down. Now, what I love though is he goes, right, they're gonna have to cruise along before they ascend. They scan for life forms before because we've kind of hit them a few times. We're gonna have to jet up when they are at cruising altitude before they launch. What I love is that introductory shot where you have all four of them flying along, and Mando again seems to his information he just seems a little off. He's not quite clicking, and you see that more as they go along.
Plays by his own rules.
But it's at that point it's very subtle yet very well done. So this is Bryce Dallas Howard who's done this episode. I wasn't a huge fan of the Farm ATST episode because they literally did that in the Clone Wars as a literal copy of that. This, however, I think is incredible, and it's one of those episodes that will go down for me as one of my all-time pieces of Star Wars, favorite pieces of Star Wars ever done. Different point though, you see him just being slightly off, and that then progresses as he goes through. They are a unit. You can tell that as Matt said earlier. You know, when the bridge is going, well, how many are there? He goes, oh, there must be at least 10 or 15. They go, scans life forms. Like, no, there's literally just 4.
And then they realize they're Mandalorians.
Yeah. What I do love, though, is that we hit by pirates again, and you have the stormtrooper hit the windshield.
Like, it's pirates again.
It was very computer game as well, the way they bust in there and taking everyone out.
Yeah.
That was wicked. I liked it.
I think it was Costco when she grabbed the dude and just went flying.
Yeah.
And that was the one that hit the windscreen.
Yeah. But what I like, though, again, they're going through these corridors. Mando is holding his own to a point, but he's made to look like this bumbling buffoon as they are going through kind of clinically.
Well, like when Bo first comes in, she just takes out 3 straight away.
Yeah. And you get them fight their way through to the cargo hold. because that's of course where the weapons are. What I then love is the massive incompetence of the Imperial officer.
Oh yeah, but it's like he's like when like just before they come, he's got his pistol raised. And he's like, "We can do this, we can do this, lads." Basically, and then they come and he's like, "Shut the doors! Shut the doors!" It's like, "Got them all now."
Where did you lock them? The cargo release bay.
Yeah, it's like, the cargo control room. Like,
wait, where?
Wait,
it's like,
cargo control room.
As they get sucked out into the atmosphere.
The incompetence of the Empire sometimes is just like, how the hell did these guys take over the galaxy? This is just.
But then you also had that line earlier.
This is like
where they said the troopers, they can't hit the side of a bantha.
Yeah.
So it's a little. Just to go back to that bit before they obviously did this, I just liked that. Just on competence, they went. Yeah, they can't hit the side of a bantha. We'll be fine.
Yeah. That's the end of season 1. Squadron. They can't hit the broadside of a bantha.
But it's the same thing. Go back to the end of season 1, where you have the scout troopers who are trying just to shoot a tin can effectively, and they can't.
Yeah, it's like,
which I love. You go back, of course, to episode 4, and the famous line from Robots, like, "Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise." Like, really?
Shore troopers, maybe.
To be fair, though, I think that line was probably because Obi-Wan obviously fought with the clone troopers that were really good, and he probably just assumed all the stormtroopers were clones.
We will find this out in Kenobi when it comes.
That's my new headcanon anyway. Obi-Wan thought they were still clones, that's why he thought they were so precise.
We'll find this out when it comes to Kenobi.
Let's face it, he's been on Tatooine for 19 years by that point.
Yes. However, you do have them fight their way to the bridge. The captain knows what the score is at this point, because we need backup. We are not doing good. We have them trapped in the cargo hold, but we are not good. So he ends up sending out a signal.
But you're jumping ahead to you forget the bit where he's like with the pilot dude's like, "Is everyone okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're fine. You've got all these weapons." And it's like, even if you drop them off, we're gonna find you. And he's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're taking your ship." And Mando's like, What that wasn't the deal.
This deal's getting worse all the time.
At that moment, I genuinely thought that Bo-Katan was just going to turn to him and say, "Pray I don't alter it any further."
Yeah, no, I was expecting that.
But instead, it was better because she just sassily said, "This is the way."
I just like
what she said, make a cup of tea, we're on our way.
Making reference to the fact that, of course, the actual Imperial officers are British, which plays up to what we were talking about.
Except the captain, who was American.
Yes,
all the rest was British except the captain.
The captain was also in Deadwood, like Tim Oliphant as well.
The third person in this series to have been in Deadwood.
There's also a few of them have been in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. I know that Axwo's, what's his name? Simon.
Was he in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Castanedas.
I didn't know he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. one. Yeah.
I know Titus, what's his face, was the captain.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like these little cameos as well.
Just make a cup of tea. We're on our way. Man's like, what? And then they have to fight the way up to the bridge.
You're helping us take the ship.
And then they get the repeaters out, and they're just like, there's only 3 stormtroopers. These 4 men is like, we're pinned down. We can't do anything. They have repeaters.
They're heavy repeaters. That's again very reminiscent of the pillboxes from the First World War, anything like machine gun fire. It's something that will mow people down. Again, if you talk about
except
if you go back to the web blasters from season 1, it's that same.
To be fair, though, that was a massive cannon.
Yes, I know that. The point is more. You can get pinned down. Yes, even if you're getting Beskar, because don't forget, at this point instead, Mando rushes the repeaters, lobs out his 2 bombs by saying, "Cover me." He's got an idea. This is kind of then the Mando showing his way of things and going, "Yeah, you guys might be good, but also I can do things." He also got shot to hell, and it was pinned down on the floor. Just because you can survive getting shot by Beskar a little bit doesn't mean you can't survive 2
It was super heroic, and those 3, Bo-Katan and her friends, would not have made it any further if it wasn't for Mando being like, "Nah, watch this."
Exactly, they're not a mindless threat. It is they will get killed by heavy repeaters eventually.
That was let's show them how we do it downtown.
Yeah, but they would die in shame. Like, who wants to die to a stormtrooper?
Well, yeah. That's
The only thing worse than getting killed by a stormtrooper is getting killed by a B1.
I mean, yeah, no one wants to die to B1 unless it's Mr. Bones, in which case you are just boned.
Unless it's Obi-Wan.
And that's the last show Matt's going to appear on.
Only two I approve, actually. I like it.
And then they eventually get to the bridge, and because, we skip the whole Moff Gideon bit.
Oh, well, I was getting to that, and then drive back. Yeah,
you missed a big bit.
So Gideon turns up as a hologram and says, "You got to do what you got to do. Oh, your ship's been taken again. I'm not giving you any support."
How much has been taken over? Well, they've taken over pretty much all the ship except the bridge. It's like, well, yeah, we're not sending help because you're done for, mate. You know what to do.
You got to do. And he executes the pilots. And
long live the Empire.
Yep. And goes full on suicide mode by going, I'm just going to fly this in. I love the recognition of the pilot's face of like, hang on a second. No.
Yeah, when they're talking, they just go and they basically look at each other going, we're about to die, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
It's the ruthlessness of the Empire. This is I talk about, especially in season 2 more than season 1. This feels so Star Wars. This feels properly the Empire. Like, again, Grand Moff Tarkin, people like that was just the ruthlessness of the Imperial officers. It's why they are good Imperial officers. In the case they will do whatever they have to for what they consider to be the greater good. And in their opinions, the greater good is, at this point, no, you can't let them have anything. So take them out by crashing the ship into the sea. I think he was aiming for the settlement. I don't think he was going to crash it into the sea. He was going to take some civilians out with him.
What I was really hoping we were going to get at this point was a callback to the start of the episode, the tower being like, Gazanti Cruiser, reduce your landing speed.
Yeah.
Gazanti Cruiser. And just have to be like, I'm trying. I thought that would have been really cool because I was at the start of the episode. He's shouting at the tower, being like, "I'm trying."
I think that's the bit though where, like, as he's coming in, he just flicks it off. He's like, "Shut up! I'm trying to land this thing."
So a callback then would have been really cool. I know it probably ruined the suspense, but just to have that tower being like, "Cruiser, slow your descent."
Yeah. No, I think you're taking the seriousness out of the moment there. Yeah. If they'd done that. However, no, of course they do break in. They get through the stormtroopers by Din Djarin basically doing a full-on suicide run, but then lobbing his.
No. Let's call it what it was. It was his Leroy Jenkins moment.
He Rambo'd that. He one-man armied it. It's cool.
He did. Taking out the stormtroopers, they managed to get into the bridge. What I love is the fact that you then have Axwo stays behind to make sure that is it. There are no more stormtroopers. They are going to be safe. You have Bo-Katan come and grab the officer. You have Mando and Koska take the controls. So you have this one-on-one between Bo-Katan and the Imperial captain. I love how she goes, all right, where is it? Where is he? Does he have it?
No. She says, who has it? She says, if you're asking that, you already know.
Yeah.
And then he electrocutes himself.
Yeah.
So with the Star Wars version of a cyanide pill in the teeth.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very, again, throwback to the Empire doing whatever the Empire must. It's their officers are ruthless. The soldiers are just brainwashed. It's a very, it's a callback again to that the Nazi simile which they used. I mean, it's used in that trope is used in a lot of media, be it science fiction or fantasy or whatever. It's that the charismatic overlord who can sway anyone by propaganda. It's the same thing when it comes to Imperials. They are very steadfast to the cause. And he does take his own life with the electrifying suicide pill and a very shocking ending.
That's worse than my Obi-Wan. Come on.
Exactly. Hey, if everyone's going to make bad puns around here.
This is the last show ever.
But I really liked the visuals on the Gazanti pulling up.
Yeah.
Right, just like trims the tape.
Did actually remind me of an episode of Doctor Who. Because with the captain shooting his crew to crash the ship, and then the hero at the end having to pull it up and literally just hitting everything.
And I thought it was cool. I was hoping the boat that you see them just skim was going to be the same boat from earlier in the episode. They were going to like snap the mast or something.
But did you forget that they blew that one up?
Yeah,
Although
I did forget.
to be fair, I would like to have had the Mon Cala who just looked at it derogatory again and going, "What the hell do you think he's doing?"
Yeah. See, for a moment though, I genuinely thought that Mando was just they were essentially going to kidnap Mando, and the child was going to be left on Trask with the frog people.
Well,
No, and this is something else. So obviously they're just kind of like, we're taking this ship, we've got to get out of here. And it's one of my other favorite bits from this episode was the way Mando's like, I've got to get back, and the way he just jumps the railings. It's like, nope.
Yeah. It doesn't even break stride. He just walks, whee.
We'll get to that in a second though, because
yes, we are kind of
we're skipping something really important.
One of the biggest hits, and it was just so casual. There was no build-up. There wasn't even really a music thing or anything.
It didn't need it.
Yeah, because he's like, right, I did my end of the bargain. He's like, okay, I'll tell you where to find this this Jedi. Go to Caledon on Corvus. There you'll find Ahsoka Tano. Tell her Bo-Katan sent you. She'll sort you out. And he's like, oh, what?
Yeah,
she just casually name dropped Ahsoka freaking Tano.
Yeah, the city of Caledon, the forest moon of Corvus. You'll find Ahsoka Tano. Now, before we go into the importance of this, I want to throw back to you, Matt, with Ahsoka of what do you know, what don't you know? What have you heard from there? If you've seen some of the Clone Wars, you know who Snips is, kind of, but
I've only, from what I've watched of Clone Wars, I saw her being very young. I watched the lightsaber fight between her and Darth Maul from later. You told me to watch it because Ray Park did the mocap and things, so I watched that. Dom, my housemate, actually gave me a rundown on Ahsoka last night because I gave him a rundown of the episode, and he was like, "Oh no, this is who Ahsoka is." The thing that ruined any prevalence of this moment is kind of twofold for me. Is one being, I don't have a massive attachment to that character. I know who she is, but two being, it's been so widely reported that she's going to be in this for so long that when you just knew it was coming, and they did such a good job with like Last Jedi and everything of canning all the rumors, and Rise of Skywalker. They didn't really get a lot of the rumors out there that I think Mandalorian's had so many, which are so far all proving to be correct.
Season 2, season 1, they didn't get many out.
The only one from season 1 was the set shot of the Death Troopers that I remember chatting to you about, Phil, being like, "Oh, the Death Troopers in it." There's this photo. But season 2 has so many leaks in this that it's not a surprise. And they said, even I don't know who she is. I was like, I know what they're going to say because 6 months ago, someone on Reddit said that Ahsoka Tano's going to be in it. And the same as Boba Fett.
Ahsoka came in. I was like, right, okay, we're getting Ahsoka.
And this is it. And, so far, those big rumors have all been right, which I think is a really big shame because this moment would have been a lot bigger had they kept a lid on it like season 1. The way they kept the whole child thing on such a lockdown, and it only got spoiled when the episode aired. And then Star Wars' official Instagram page shared a picture of the child like a week later, which was...
I think it was only like a couple of days later, actually.
Yeah, I hate because we haven't even had it in the UK
This
yet.
episode's been out for 5 minutes now. Here's Baby Yoda. Well done.
And this is it. And that was, then that was kept under wraps. So I think, I don't know a great deal about Ahsoka. I've been given a crash course. Fine. I wasn't busting my chops, being like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" Like, if she turned around and said, "Go find Luke Skywalker," I think I would have just kaboosh, and I would have been like, "Whoa! No one said anything about Mark Hamill being in this." I think I would have
turned around and said, "Go find Luke Skywalker." I would have been like, "How the hell does she know about Luke Skywalker?"
Ray knew about Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
No, but I think if it was someone I was more familiar with, someone else more familiar with, and B, they'd kept under wraps, that would have been a far bigger moment. But so far, I know who Ahsoka Tano is because the rumors 6 months ago told me she was going to be in it, and I went, "Oh, that's around the time I was started watching Clone Wars, so I knew who she was." Yeah. But it was also took a wind out the sails of Clone Wars a bit. So I went, "Oh, she's going to be a Mandalorian, which is set after Jedi. Then any danger she's in this series, much like Obi-Wan, she's going to be fine." Yeah. So Yeah, it wasn't. I can understand it was a massive moment for you guys. I understand it was a massive moment for the entire fan base. For me personally, I was like, yeah, I saw it coming.
Yeah, and I do agree with
I
you.
mean, we saw it coming, but it's still cool.
Well, that's the next point, though. I do agree with you, though. If the rumors hadn't been put out there, it would have been a much bigger moment. Bo-Katan.
To be fair, though, if we hadn't heard any of the rumors and we didn't know Ahsoka was coming back, I would have figured it out as soon as Bo-Katan turned up.
Yeah,
so if you said, I know it's dead, I'm like, okay, we're getting Ahsoka then. So when the name drop came, I would have been expecting it then.
Yeah, again, but that comes from us knowing the lore basically inside and out. But I do agree, though, if we didn't know, yes, we would have had an inkling, but you can't confirm it until it's said. There's a slight difference between the rumors being heavily implied, with Boba Fett being the worst kept secret, especially with Tamora Morrison really putting it out there before the episode aired with his IMDb update of him playing Boba Fett. I mean, it's very...
To be fair, though, anyone can update IMDb, and it's not always right.
Yeah, if you do that, Lucasfilm will just hit you for a new one. It's not... Yeah, Lucasfilm do not like you doing that. It's
Are they at the moment? Did you say they went looking for Ezra, Robin, from Rebels?
Ahsoka and Sabine did, yeah.
Yeah, so if Bo-Katan turned around and went, go to this planet, find Ezra... Again, that would have been like,
yeah,
because there's no mention of it.
Yeah, but as Bo, no, she did meet Ezra.
Yeah, she did.
But this is it could have been a name that wasn't spoiled in a rumor at the start of the year, and I think it would have held a lot more weight to it. It's cool as someone who's not massively into Clone Wars and Rebels. I can take it or leave it. If it'd been someone I was familiar with, like if it had been Luke. Whether Bo-Katan knew Luke or not, that's something they could touch on later on.
I think Ahsoka will tell him to go and find Luke.
I mean, yeah, we still probably could get Luke.
Yeah, and that'd be sweet. I like it. And then that will be really cool, and it would tie into the sequel trilogy really nicely.
Yeah, I just want to see a moment with Luke and Baby Yoda, with Luke basically just remembering Yoda while holding the child.
I want to see a moment of Luke and Boba Fett.
To be fair, that would be interesting. Like a rematch? Boba Fett would just be like, last time I fought you, I ended up in a Sarlacc. No.
Yeah, exactly. Because let's just relate this. I just want to get this in quick. Relate this episode where they take off their helmets, and he's like, "You never take off their helmets." So we'll never see Boba remove his helmet, and then now he has. So if that's a foreshadowing for Mando's change in philosophy, potentially, if Boba's just like, "I'm rejecting this." Could we see the same thing? Could be interesting. But I don't know, mechanically. Yeah, the Ahsoka thing's cool. Sorry, carry on. I guess. I just think the rumors have really spoiled a lot of the big reveals for this season.
Especially considering the other rumors involve characters that I actually believe we're going to be getting now.
There wasn't enough.
In case anyone hasn't heard them, I wouldn't say who. But...
Yeah. Not enough Dr. Mandible in episode 11.
I mean, more Dr. Mandible.
I mean, let's face it. It's pretty much guaranteed we're going back to Tatooine, so we might get a return appearance of Dr. Mandible.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, so that we now have our destination, and we have, again, this is more story than what we're getting this time last year. This time last season, you kind of had...
I mean, to be fair, this turn last season, it was kind of starting, because obviously he literally just kidnapped the child back and was escaping.
Yeah, what was the third episode of season 1?
It was basically him taking the child back to Werner Herzog, then having a change of heart, going back, breaking him out, and escaping Navarro with all his covert attacking him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Mandalorian one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the one where he gets his new shiny Beskar.
And then you get the charge of the Mandalorians that they drop from the sky. Yeah, okay. So there's similar themes between the parallel episodes.
I mean, to be fair, last episode was very similar to episode 2 of season 1 because the whole egg thing.
Yeah, and then the first episode fight.
So next week is going to be them having to defend Navarro against.
I wonder if Cara Dune's going to turn up in the next one.
Well, because I genuinely think they've only shown us the first half of the season in the trailers.
Yeah.
And literally, the only thing left in the trailers we haven't seen is all the stuff on Navarro. So
she was episode 4, wasn't she? Season 1.
That was her first appearance, actually. So yes, if it is
It seems to be mirroring itself, which I think's strange. But it feels, it's probably very safe, but it just feels strange that.
Because I think that he's not going to be able to get to Corvus the way the Razor's Crest is now. So I reckon either he's going to have to go to Navarro, he's going to go to Navarro to fix his ship and talk to the armorer, because obviously about the revelation he's just had, he's going to want to go talk to her. Or he gets a call from Grief saying, we just need you to pop back. He's like, okay, I can go there, fix my ship, help you, and talk to the armorer.
Isn't Robert Rodriguez directing an episode this season?
Yes,
he is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that.
The only one thing we do know is that Dave Filoni did episode 5, which is,
episode 5 is going to be Ahsoka. That's why I think Navarro next week. That's why they're not showing anything after that, because it might be difficult to CG out Ahsoka from a lot of the shots.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
it's going to be interesting. Robert Rodriguez one will be cool.
Oh god, yeah. But I think he'll do similar to episode 6 from last season, which was the kind of the horror episode with Mando hunting down everyone on a prison ship.
Yeah, that would fit well with Robert Rodriguez.
It would.
I like that.
But then again, Robert Rodriguez also did Spy Kids.
He did, but he is most known for his horror though. He's also just a very good director in general. He's actually
he actually looks very similar to Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I think he's quite underrated personally as a director, but that's kind of by the bite. Sorry, literally just pop up from a chat room which is literally called Mandalorian spoiler chat. A friend of mine literally just put, "Oh my god, Bo-Katan." I know where you're talked about her. Indeed. But
we're going to see her again as well this season.
I genuinely think that the beginning of this year and the end of this year is going to begin and end with a Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah,
because they kind of set up in this episode. I reckon, like with last season, where basically Mando had to go around getting all his pals to rescue Navarro. I reckon that's going to happen this season with him having to rescue Mandalore. And that's why he's going to go back to Tatooine to probably get Cobb Vanth, Boba Fett.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had a tie-in which brought Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, and every Mandalorian we've met so far. So the Armorer, and bring them all together in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I reckon the finale might be freeing Mandalore.
Yeah, I think it'll be the actual Mandalorians of note that we've seen so far. I could see them all coming together and maybe burying the hatchet for the greater cause, which would be really interesting.
Indeed. So to wrap it all up, though, this episode, for those who are not hardcore Star Wars fans, there's a bunch of cool stuff in it. You meet characters.
Very strong episode. Really strong episode.
Yeah. For the casual fan, as you said, it's a strong episode. There's a lot of cool stuff, and you have storyline development. You have a direction for Mando to go in. Again, if you don't know who Ahsoka is, it's cool. Next piece of the puzzle. This still sounds good.
We're gonna see a new Jedi.
For the hardcore fans, despite if you've read the rumors or not, doesn't matter. This was just absolutely baller from start to finish.
Yeah, but it's great because we get to see live action versions of people. We didn't even touch upon the fact we have a live action Gazanti now.
That was cool.
Well, except that there's one in Solo, so doesn't really matter.
I forgot there's one in Solo.
I think what's really cool is you're seeing a lot of Dave Filoni's influence on this season.
Although
you're seeing a lot from the Clone Wars.
With all the things from the Clone Wars and Rebels that we're now getting in live action, because we got Bo-Katan, we're getting Ahsoka. I'm pretty much convinced we're getting a live action Hera. If that happens in Mandalorian, I will fall out my chair.
Has it been rumored? No. Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of Dave Filoni's influence now. Yeah. I think he's really taken the reins on this, and Jon Favreau is just kind of telling him to not steer it into any lampposts.
To be fair, it would be.
Or to go back to the episode, don't steer it into any fishing villages.
Yeah, but I think it's very much a case of to put kind of a simile on it is if Matt and I, listen, we've been friends for 10, 11 years, whatever it is now at this point. No. 11, 12 years come up for. Anyway, not the point. Point is, Matt and I know each other for a long time. When it comes down to Star Wars and watching the gallery, Matt messaged me after the first episode going, basically I am the Favreau to your Filoni, and that's how it's been for a long time.
Yeah,
If Matt and I was to do something Star Wars related show wise, not just do this, that's how it would be. Matt would go, this
If they gave us a TV series for some reason.
Where am I in all this?
Like,
I'm just a third reel, apparently.
No, you're Doug Chiang.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I can't draw, though. I can't draw, so I can't be Doug Chiang.
Yeah, you're Kathleen Kennedy. That's fine.
It's fine.
Thanks.
No, but I think you're seeing more of it coming through now. Like I see a lot. I think season 1 was very Favreau strong, and I think season 2 is very Filoni strong. Because Favreau's a fan, but Filoni's spearheaded all this Ahsoka, all this Bo-Katan, all this stuff has all been Filoni's baby. So I think it's very much his influence on it, which is cool. It's still maintaining.
Has now become the master.
Yeah, it's still maintaining space western. It's still holding that kind of genre, so it's not lost its roots. It's not turned just because I was a little bit worried with this Ahsoka and Bo-Katan rooms and everything that it would just turn into live action Clone Wars, but it's held really strong to its western roots, which I appreciate.
Yeah, although to be fair, I would love live action Clone Wars, but that's
I'm not down that. But if it started as a western and then in season 2 suddenly turned into not a western, it would have been quite jarring. But I'm just
it's kept very much to its roots. It's kept very much to its own flavor, but the characters are now being woven in. It's showing. It really is showing that, especially with Filoni, Star Wars' dedication to a wider universe. And something that Marvel and DC and things have attempted, but Star Wars is really knitting together all the comics, the books, and the shows with the films in a way that is small but effective. You don't need to.
And it's needed to happen as well. It's really needed to happen because a lot of the times you find yourself asking why these characters never met or why these characters never spoken of each other. And so,
Star Wars comic.
Yeah, exactly. And you're now getting this cross contamination as such between these people who have met before and would have met before. Obviously Boba Fett's bringing in the original trilogy link in a really big way as well, which has kind of been relatively devoid of outside of stormtroopers and things. But so we're now getting personalities from the original trilogy in as well. So I think it's doing a really good job of stitching everything to all the big current media. It's stitching it together really well.
Yeah, that is for sure. And this is the thing with The Mandalorian. Is the first Star Wars live action show. We all were like, this is going to be cool, but hesitant as to see how they would handle it and how, what would they interact with, what will they do, how are they going to do it. And I think so far we've been pleasantly surprised. I do wonder where we're going with this season in terms of, as you said, it's mirroring last season very much, and it's a little strange for that. But I do think that this is only the first. Again, we're not even halfway through this season yet. We've got one more episode, then so next week's show will be the halfway point. And I do think from there on in you'll have your bigger reveals and your bigger plot lines for sure.
I think so. And I'm starting to think on a wider speculative looking forwards thing that they're establishing Mando, especially the past 2 episodes, as more of a parent to the child. Like they have this bond now. And I'm generally wondering it's going to get to the point they just won't give him up.
I generally think that's going to happen. Like either when he meets Ahsoka or if possibly if you do meet Luke and go to his Jedi Academy, like there's going to be a moment where he wants to hand him over, or like he does hand him over, and then like maybe like in a callback to season 1, it's like, right, you're with your people now, you're safe, I'm going. He goes to leave, like maybe it's even like a shot, not quite a shot by shot remake, but basically him in the cockpit, and then he realizes I can't leave my son behind, and then just goes back, like, you know what, I changed my mind. Come on, you come.
I think it'll be more that he'll give him over. And the child will go, no. Or another theory I've had is, he gives him over, and that's when we hear the child speak basic for the first time, and he just turns around, looks at the Mando, and says, "Dad." Yeah, something like that.
Or this is the way, or something. I think you'll probably look at that being the end of the season as like the cliffhanger before season 3. Because then you're going to have a year, like The Walking Dead didn't really, spoilers, where like who got killed by Negan, it turned out to be Glenn, and everyone spent a year going, who did he kill? And I think he's going to give him over, and then the season will end there, and season 3 will answer what's happened there. Well, that massive, heartbreaking cliffhanger to end on as well. It wouldn't end on a happy.
No. but I think you've now got two plot lines running side by side in terms of you now have Bo-Katan wanting to get the Darksaber back, and we haven't even touched on her real connection to the Darksaber either, which is quite a big one. Again, if you haven't seen Clone Wars: The Rebels, the Darksaber basically entitles you to rule Mandalore and the people of Mandalore. It's there's a great, I'll leave a link in the description below, a great video which is from Rebels that sums up the entire history of the Darksaber as told by Fen Rao. It was a lightsaber created by the first Mandalorian Jedi. He then united all the clans, ruled Mandalore. From there on in, if you won the Darksaber in a fight, it gave you the right to rule Mandalore. Darth Maul had it in the Clone Wars by challenging Grievous to combat after helping them take over Mandalore from Duchess Satine. He then got the Darksaber. He then ruled it with his Shadow Collective. Bo-Katan booted him out with the help of the Republic.
And Ahsoka.
Yep, exactly, Ahsoka as well. We then don't know what happens thereafter to the Darksaber for a little period until it ends up in the hands of Bo-Katan in Rebels. When
Maul had it.
Yes, but in terms of like how he ended up with it there, we know that she ended up getting it eventually via Sabine and everyone else helping reunite the clan. She was then given it. How she then lost it to Moff Gideon, we don't know. That's more history to come.
Yes, Matt, you have a question.
I have a question. Does Shadow Collective become Crimson Dawn?
Crimson Dawn is one of the Crimson Dawn is one.
Oh no, they're part of it. Yeah,
the syndicates. That Maul has.
Right, because there's been a lot of talk about Solo 2 happening at the moment, whether it's going to be a TV series or another film. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be
what happens there.
Yeah, Crimson Dawn is part of the Shadow Collective. It's not.
So I'm just wondering if maybe Solo 2 is going to happen to explain the story about how Maul lost the Darksaber to tie in with Mandalorian.
Yeah, there are. Well, you know how he loses it eventually, but how he still keeps hold of it's going to be an interesting one. But it's more how Bo-Katan lost it. I think you'll find out as this season progresses.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a flashback to the Purge.
So you have that particular side, which I think will then intertwine with Mando's own quest to bring the child back to his people. Then Mando will then maybe want to go and find his own people and find out more about Mandalorian as a culture and as a creed more than what he's been told. So those are your two lines I think we'll have going forward. We have characters coming up that we know and love in terms of Ahsoka. There are other rumors now will probably be true that I'm kind of hesitant because I don't want to know if they're going to be true or not until we actually see it. Because I don't know if we get all of them. I'm not going to put two of them in here, but I think the second half of the season will. Yeah, I reckon for the second half of the season, don't know where we're going, but I think it's going to be good.
Although I am hoping / thinking we might get an Ahsoka versus Gideon fight.
We could.
See what Gideon's like with a sword.
But I do think it'd be more Bo-Katan versus Moff Gideon, and Ahsoka will give Bo-Katan one of her lightsabers.
Bo-Katan with a lightsaber. That'd be cool.
She will have the Darksaber, so she'll know how to use it.
Or Mando. Remember, it's his TV series. They wouldn't let him play second fiddle. A big climatic battle. Or the child. They're fighting one of Ahsoka's lightsabers.
Yeah, but they're like imagine the child with a lightsaber. Yeah, but it would be just like you'll see this tiny little child with this massive lightsaber, then all of a sudden be flipping around all over the place. And Mando just be going, the hell is this thing doing?
Like you kept saying last week, we don't know what that kid's been doing for 50 years.
Exactly. Everyone forgets he is already 50 years old. And he's going to be around for, see how long he's going to be around for from there. But for now that we are running over slightly, there is a reason why we do have to wrap up an hour when it comes to the Mandalorian episodes. However, happy to go over just a little bit here to kind of try and jam in everything because this was, for a 30 minutes of episode, there's a lot to talk about.
It was a shorter episode, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's like 35 minutes?
37. The first episode was 52, second one was 44, this one was 37.
Really artfully done in the time space. Really
the actual
well
content itself was about half an hour of the actual episode itself. However,
it was a really smart episode for the amount in it. It's clever.
Yeah. Exactly. It was really well paced as well. This is the thing I was saying we'll talk about last week. I think the pacing of the show is a lot better than season 1. They now know how to do it and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it works from there. But yes, I think that's about it. Unless there's anything else you guys want to kind of add to the ending.
No, not at all.
No? Oh, cool. So yep, as per usual, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Star Wars Podcast, at Star Wars Pod, at Star Wars 2020. We'll be back this time next week for The Mandalorian as well. We'll be back on Tuesday for our fortnightly episode. But until then, we've been Star Wars. May the Force be with you. Good night.
Come, my allies. Observe